Tune in live. And then Twitch. And that's making noise now. Twitch. Okay. Tweetfleet. Yay. Retweet that shit. Okay. Life is good. Alright, good evening, Internet. Should be up on all platforms. Everywhere should be streaming. Life should be beautiful. Looks like we are in all of the chat channels. We've got the tweets out. Oh, I gotta get the calls out to the channels real quick. Starts at the top of the hour. Tune in live. Coming to you live for now. All right. That goes there. Go over here. Last Prosper show. There we go. Okay. Okay, now we should be out on everything, and life should be good, and stream should be up, and I just need to make sure we have enough graphs, because I haven't finished doing that yet. So give me just a few more minutes to finish that, and then I will be interesting again. Jump freighters, are they interesting this week? I really should stop reporting them, but I am a self-indulgent fuckwit. So, how are you, Internet? It has been a crazy couple of weeks. If you weren't following my main Twitter, HLibIndustry, you wouldn't have heard that I totally fucked up my car. So, that's why we didn't have a show last week. Also, we've been deploying a thing at work, and it's just been busy, so it's been hard to get the time required to do what needs to be done. Let's see, how does Quaff look? Not super interesting. Let's put it in. I lied. And then geckos are the other... not really interesting. Oh, right, and then obelisks. Sorry, A's, I really don't think I'm going to include freighters. Obelisk. What are the other freighters? I always forget their names. Not the Nomad, that's the Tech 2. There is the Charon. Not really moving. The Ark is the Anshar, and the Ark is it's a jump freighter. I always can remember the jump freighters. I can never remember the actual freighters. The one that looks like a sand crawler, you know. Okay, right. Finish making the show. Plots. Let's double check this week's flags, so I can get you guys what you need. Oh, and then I got to queue up. I got to queue up something. Eve Mogul. Eve Mogul. You guys should go check out Eve Mogul because we just launched a new service with them. Jeronica over there did the front end and I did the back end. And we're going to see how that arrangement works out. I got to get some pieces together so that people can God damn it, I wish that would be the right account. Okay, be that way. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. It's fine. How about orcas? Not that interesting either. Okay. That's the one, and then we press that button. And apologies if this falls over for you guys. I do know what the bug is. Oh, and it trimmed the frickin' link. So that's what we've been working on. Jeronica and he did the front end, I did the back end. There is an API for that. It's not stable yet, so don't. I'll publish that once it's ready. I need to do some more stuff to it to make it stable. So, let's see. Right, I was gonna go look at the last of the flags so we can actually do the show correctly. Blah 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 blah. Let's see. Divergent. Sig 2.5. Sig minus 2.5. Sig 2.0. Sig minus 2.0. And that's what we're going to stick with. Open new window. Yeah, I don't have that data on the thing, dude. I would love to. I just don't. All right. I know, I'm super interesting right now. This always happens. I end up... It's because I played a couple of rounds of Rocket League when I got home instead of just going right back to work. Or that I should have done half of this work early this morning, but I got up too late. My life is so hard. This is why I need to rewrite the statistics package, is so I can make it do all the things automatically. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. Let's put that in. Cryo structures, that's a little interesting, but I would really rather something else in that group flagged. Okay. That one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Okay. What the hell is that emoji? Drinking. Oh, okay. That makes more sense. That was fucking weird. Okay. YC118.5. Let's get the shit finished so we can get everything out there. -25. Let's see. Not seeing. Oh, that's cute. Exit that. Oh, okay, I'll take that. That's fine. It's like, that is not an emoji I've ever seen. Let's see, where were we? That one, that one, that one. Okay. And then -25. 1 meganewton afterburners are interesting. We should include those. I don't know why those didn't flag before. Maybe they just didn't flag hard enough. Oh, that's why. We had 2. Oh, see? That's shitty. It's my tools being shitty. Okay. And then the +25 group. Okay. Oops. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, and then we need that one last. Okay. Then here. Almost done. And then I can be interesting again. So sorry. Munin. That's interesting. Okay. And then that one. That one. Crane's a little bit interesting. Huh, wonder what happened there. Rattlesnake's a little bit interesting. Yeah, I shouldn't, but I'm gonna include that. Okay, and then that one. Hydromag physics is a little bit interesting, but not interesting enough. The Veldspar crystals are a little bit interesting. Neodymium is interesting. Let's include neodymium. That'll be in here. Let's do the 90-day view on that one. Let's do the 90-day view on both. Neodymium. That one. And dysprosium is another interesting one. Except that they're spoilers. Okay. Endurance. Oh. Okay, did I get through all the twos? I did not get through all the twos. Salvager twos are interesting too. Let's get that next to small tractor beams and salvagers. Excellent. Now I have too many slides, but that's fine. It's good to have a big show. You guys love the graphs, right? Oh god, I don't want to include that, but that's a really good flag. There. Do I have hulks? Oh, I do have the zoom in. Sweet. Okay. Brilliant. And the Gila. What is the Gila doing? I swear I looked at this, and I didn't think it was important. I still don't think it's important. Okay. Usually the flags aren't this interesting. Crucifier Dominic's is a little interesting. Meganewton afterburners are interesting. Okay, 1 meganewton. Meganewton. Strong blue pill. Vanadium is a little interesting, but it's kind of low end. Oh, Vexor Navy issue. That is interesting. Damn it. There are too many good flags this week. Okay. Alright, we're through that crap. We should have enough slides to make a show. It looks like we only got 20 people watching right now. On the air, Tyler. Go to bed. Okay. God, give me a fucking break. Okay, thank you. Alright, guys. Sorry about that boring little interlude. Welcome to the show. Sorry, it's you guys got me a little flat-footed. It's been busy at work trying to get stuff finished, and then got to get this show out, and been trying to publish new stuff for you guys. So, let's see, news in the last 2 weeks. One, we published a new feed through Eve Mogul. So if you go look at items on Eve Mogul, you'll see the candlesticks, and that's because we provided I wrote up an API to get that data. Not that Veronica couldn't. And Veronica, who runs Eve Mogul, put together the front end to display it, and it looks really slick. We've got the RSI, we've got the volume plots. Even though I think his math on the RSI chart is wrong now that I'm looking at it. It looks upside down. Let me check. Yeah. We'll have to talk. The RSI numbers aren't right. They're too high. Is he... He's not... He is calculating across the whole data set. Huh. Because they're, like, upside down. Starts off right, it continues to be right, then it's up. Did he do it the wrong direction? Is that the problem? I should send him a thing. Let me send him the right thing. All right. So got 5 minutes before the show goes live. This is the part where I'm charming for all of you guys. I just cannot turn it on tonight. So, the show's the Eve Prosper show. We're going to go through about 45 minutes of market news. I don't tend to answer questions on the air during the show, but we'll do a 30-minute Q&A afterwards. Let's see. The graphs are all made using R. The candlesticks are publicly available. I'm working on a solution for the Eve Central data. Expect that after the hiatus. If this is your first time tuning in, I am so sorry to say that this is our last show. I'm going to call this the season ender, take a page out of the This Week Tonight book, and end the season here. Summers tend to be a bit quieter on the volatility front, and I have some work that needs doing so you guys can... so we can get you new products. The show takes about at least 5 hours a week to produce, and I would like to put that towards making new things, so that we can come back in the fall with more tools, better utilities, give you guys access to the data, be able to be a little more collaborative rather than me coming down from on high with all of my pontificating. Instead, tell you guys about, let you guys get at some of the data yourselves. So we're working on that. There should be a blog out once I have pieces published, so make sure to follow the Eve Prosper website, eveprosper.com. This week tonight, last week tonight, whatever. John Oliver's. It's a good idea. I liked it. We're gonna make it. We're gonna do seasons now. I was gonna go on a hiatus anyway. It works out rather nicely that basically I can do 4 months straight of this show, and then I have to take a few weeks off, and then another 4 months. So last year, So we ran from September to, actually no, August to like mid-December, and then we took a couple of weeks off during Christmas and such. We came back and then ran from January to March. I had to then move, so we were off 2 weeks. And then we ran from March to now, which means that we're getting about, like 12 shows a season, which works out pretty decently for you guys. So I'm hoping to sort of make that our new cadence. If you support us directly through the Patreon, there will be a letter going out soon, hopefully this weekend, to sort of give you guys a heads up on what's going on. Adjust your pledges if you see fit. We will still be developing, and actually we need contributions over this hiatus more than ever, as I look into moving off of the donated web space we have onto dedicated web space, so we can deliver to you guys a full-fledged system. The needs to serve this data is weird, and I need to. It's actually surprisingly expensive to do it the way I have it organized. So, yeah, that's going to be a thing. I'm going to write a whole letter to you guys. Totally understand anybody who wants to cancel, reduce their contributions. That is absolutely fair. Will not fault anyone. I am hoping to finally I've got some leads on it. I've got some pieces started for some swag, so I'm hoping we can come back in the fall with some swag. Got a lead on patches because of the Neocom. Really want to do pins. I love pins right now. They're so cool. And I'm a turbo dork. Stickers, I could do stickers like right now if I were just get off my ass and do it. And I'd like you guys to be able to have Eve swag and Eve Prosper swag, and was going to give that out through the Patreon. Basically say, if you've given us 10 or 15 or 20 bucks over the lifetime of your patronage, well, we'll send you a whatever. And as your account ticks forward, we'll send you more crap. Just as a way to thank everybody, a way to have little pieces of the show, because I like swag. I want there to be swag. So, but we're past the top of the hour. So let me get the pieces in order. Let me get this fan somewhere where it won't get on mic. Oh my god, what a pain in the ass. Okay, hopefully that's not a problem for you guys. Press that button. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Eve Prosper Market Show. I'm your host, Lockefox, and I have all of the market news fit to print for you guys. But first, we're going to start where we usually do, where we talk about some of the show news. And so this one's going to be a little bit of a long show news. All the guys tuned in live have heard it before. I'm probably going to end up repeating myself. This is the last show we're doing for the summer. But fear not, there will still be Prosper content. We're going to be taking a hiatus until at least August, maybe into September. But in that meantime, we will still be, one, producing market briefs for the '07 show, so expect to see those. 2, we will be producing code. We'll be doing new work so you guys can get access to our code. Working on an API system, for instance, is on the front of my burners right now. Working on getting that out to you guys right this second, but still doing some testing on that. We expect to stay active on the Twitter account, and there may be 1 or 2 shows during the summer as a bit of a what's happened in the last month sort of holdover. So make sure to keep tuned in all the places. So the best places are the Eve Prosper on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and the blog at eveprosper.com. Join us on the Tweetfleet Slack in the Prosper channel. And just a quick bit of news for you guys. We do have the first little piece of our API work out. We've partnered with Jeronica over at Eve Mogul. He did the front end to make the graphs, and I did the back end to feed the data. And right now we are serving up traditional candlesticks in browser for you guys. This stuff is super slick. You can do all the zooming. It has all of this great content. There's a couple little bugs we gotta iron out. But all you have to do is log in with your SSO, and you can have access to all of the Crest data just like we do in the show here. So big shout out to Jeronica for making that possible. He did some amazing work and has been incredibly patient with my terrible code because we ran into some issues. So we're still working on it. There should be more news coming. I will publish the API out to you guys as soon as it's stable. The goal is actually to give several APIs so that you guys can actually make all of the graphs that we make on the show. And every bit of that should be available to you guys with some stipulations because the data is big and serving it up is expensive. But keep tuned to the blog for more information as it becomes available. Let's see. Last but not least, again, since we're going into the patrons keep this show on the air. They keep it ad-free for all of you guys. It really does make the difference in keeping this show open and free to everyone, and it means I don't have to run ads and be a jerk and shill a whole bunch. I can just produce the show for you guys, and it's thanks to our patrons. Now, I know we're going on hiatus, and if you guys want to change your contributions, we completely understand. There will be a letter going out to all of our current patrons. We would appreciate your support over the hiatus because we're going to be looking into getting some dedicated hardware. But that's about the only thing I can tell you guys so far about it. So again, patreon.com/EveProsper keeps this on the air, keeps it ad-free, keeps it free and open for everyone. And we should have some swag coming out soon. I have put some feelers out, and we're going to go use Patreon as our platform to distribute swag. So with that, now that I have shilled a bunch for you guys, and last piece of show news. One last piece of show news. Citadels are kind of a bear for the way this show works. For longtime fans of the show, you'll know that this show basically runs entirely out of game. It's a whole bunch of custom scripts and endpoints and databases. And right now, Citadels do not report into those APIs. Citadels are basically blind in the APIs. So in the meantime, I cannot report on Citadel behavior. If you guys want to know more, you should hunt down Rivra on, she's been making the rounds on Talking in Stations pretty regularly. You should go check out the SCC Lounge channel in-game and out. They talk at nauseating length about the Citadel speculation and what's exactly going on. But due to the nature of those feeds and the way that I cannot get the data, we will be reporting as if they don't exist. And I'm sorry to do that to you guys. I wish I could do better, but the really real honest to God truth is that there's nothing I can do about it. Just like I can't report on capitals very well in this show because capitals don't get sold in JITA, and a lot of them get sold on contract, and we don't have visibility into the capital market. The only thing we can really see is capital destruction. Citadels are a similar blind spot that we'll only know if a Citadel dies, and we might be able to pin that as a news item, but we won't be able to know like its actual market impact. So sorry in advance. Wish I could do better. Until they fix it, or if they ever do, we're just going to have to work without them until such a time as a different solution comes up. And also, I know that we could probably put together a cache scraper and feed up through the old channels, but I don't. The one of the operating promises of this show, of this project, is that all of the data is available to you guys. That you could have the same amount of data as I have because we've put together the scripts and we've made the data public. The databases are not public, but that's only because of my inability to write decent code. It's not that you couldn't collect it yourself. And I have always offered to get people bulk dumps if they ever ask for it, even if the schemas are terrible. And like I if we start relying on cache scraping, it means that we're working in a dark area of the EULA, and they could cause the show to get shut down. And I don't want to have special data. I want you guys to have the same data I have. I want you to have the same sources I do. I want to prove that you don't need to be a magician to be able to do what we're going to do with the data. So it's more of a philosophical thing than a real problem. So that's where we're going to leave that. But with that, now that I've burned a good 10 minutes of your time, let's go ahead and get actually into the meat of the show. And thank you everybody who's tuned in live. It looks like we've got a good 40 people tuned in live, which is a pretty decent turnout. I know that the hours are a little bit weird and most of my audience is European, so thanks for tuning in. Next. Okay, so Plex. Let's start with Plex. I know we missed last week, so we have a little bit of extra ground to cover. So the prediction I had coming into Citadel was that we would see some decline around the patch because of sales, because of ISK shortages. This is not news. If you guys want to know more about that, you should go check out. I was on Talking in Stations at the start of May, I believe is when that aired. So go check that out if you want to know more specifically. The prices fell a lot lower than I really expected them to. We saw a steady state bottom out about 850, and I really didn't expect it to go under the 900 line, to be completely honest. We're seeing things start to flow back over 900 now. So my forecast for the summer, because again, this is going to be the last show that we formally do for a while until the market brief at the next 07 show, is that I expect the prices to rise slowly over the summer. It should be relatively stable, and I was expecting about 50 million in growth over the next 2 or 3 months, at least the next 6 weeks. And that meant that when I originally said that, I was expecting it to bottom out at 950. 950 plus 50 is 1 billion. We'd be back at a billion. I still think the fair price for Plex is 1 billion. I still believe that that's sort of where we're going to oscillate towards. But the truth of the matter is that I have no idea when we're going to get there. What I expect the next 4 weeks to look like is that a general peacetime. And so a lot of the volatility we've seen for the last 3 months will be turning around and will be washing out. And with that stability should come the ability to generate more liquid material and earn more liquid ISK from the traditional faucets. And that's just going to be something we got to wait on. And we can see, for instance, that the heat in the Plex market has subsided. We've gone from about a 5,000 or 6,000 units a day level down under a 4,000 units a day level. And I think that's going to be our steady state going through the summer. So if we go and look at the 1 year view, again, you can kind of see where I'm basing that prediction from is that being back at 950 puts us back essentially 1 year. And I expect maybe not as hot a trend as we saw the last year into September. I still expect a positive trend, so I sort of expect 950-ish as the summer standard. So I expect a positive trend. I just expect it to be a weak positive trend. And we're still seeing pretty high volume, but as you can see, it's really starting to taper out. Again, we're not back down to the 2,000 level, but this extra heat, I believe, is because of the skill trading load has added about 2,000 extra units a week into demand. So that might actually make things move a little bit faster than I expect. If we zoom all the way in on the hourly Eve Central data, again, we can see the big piece of news was that Mr. Probag Bear tore down his wall. The Plex wall has closed. This was due to I believe he credited that he was tired of managing it, for one, and two, with Citadels finally launching and getting anchored near JITA, it really ate into his competitive advantage, and it was not worth the extra effort to keep all of those orders, to keep juggling all those orders against the Citadels. For those who may not be in the know, Citadels allow you to cheat some of the buy order margins, where someone trading in a station will be looking for something around a 4% margin, operating margin. Somebody in a Citadel can work closer to 2%, and by setting up the orders remotely, it means that they can still participate in JITA, still have orders fulfilled in JITA, but have the issuing station be a Citadel. And this mechanic has been referred to as offshoring. And again, if you want to know more, the best place to go, the best resource for it is Rivra in the SCC Lounge channel. She knows way more than she will brain dump on you just at any request. So go bug her. Like I said in the earlier section, this does mean that our resolution is a little bit screwy, that this buy margin we might be looking at might be inflated, that there might actually be a dotted line in the middle here that's the actual Citadel margin. But there's just no way for me to backfill that data with the way the things are set up. If we zoom into the RMT markets, that's things like plexes and multiple pilot training certificates and skill extractors. Again, we can see the general stability. We're still seeing a little bit of extra positivity in skill extractors. That has me a little bit surprised. I expected it. We saw for the last few weeks, we've been in this really tight alignment with Plex prices to keep them in line with the RM parity. And right now they're just a little bit positive, not really enough to be making a lot of extra money off of, but enough to be interesting. Hold on. Just for the live show, guys. there's a whole formation of scorpions just hanging out on the Jita undock. So I thought that was interesting, and a dancing Hyperion. Anyway, back to the show. So again, we're seeing things stay relatively stable, relatively steady. We're seeing everything stay right around the Plex prices like we expect. So this is looking relatively healthy and stable. If we look at the skill injector margins, I'm finding it interesting that we were seeing a negative trend the last few weeks. Last we came off the air, I was actually a little bit worried we were going to get under this 650 line. And that's 650 ISK per skill point. But we've seen the trend turn around and even be a little bit more positive than the Plex price would let you think. So the market here actually, so again, we were expecting some more volatility here because of fax skill points getting refunded. Expected a lot more supply to come to market, but right when that was supposed to happen, we really didn't see it come to market. We just saw people probably reallocate without penalty rather than cash out. Also, the volumes traded are The other thing is we see the buy order trend just absolutely wash out here, and I really think this can tell you everything you wanted to know about offshoring right here, since we're seeing the buy order volume just die the second that the citadels are able to be launched. So this means that people can work in smaller margins. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking that the dailies are going to cause a lot more skill points to come into the market, but it's not even a full injector a month, and I think people value not having. I think as a farmer, it's gravy, but it's a lot of work to get that gravy. If you are farming skill points, it's because you want to do the minimum effort for your ISK. You basically just want Plex prices back and all your stuff, and it's I think it's a negligible impact for the farming market. If anything, it drives a little bit of heat out of the demand market for it. So I don't think that for all of the wailing and gnashing of teeth, I really don't think that the free skill point system is enough to really cause anyone any real problems. I don't think it's going to have a major impact on the market. The only thing that it can do, I think, is give people more activity, which would drive ISK velocity. Like, I think that's more the vector we'll see here is that ISK will be consumed, more ISK will be washed through the system because more activity means that there's more activity. I don't think that we'll see major shifts in the Plex market just because of free ISK. And I say this because you could say a lot of the same things that people say about the skill point system with the free skill points. You could say a lot of the same things about Project Discovery. It's a lot of free ISK. It's not that hard to do, and if you really get on it, you can make a buttload of money. But you have to spend a lot of clicks doing it, and a lot of those guys are, there's a 1% of those people who are living really pretty, but the 90% of the other people are just getting a few million ISK a week out of it, so it's really just negligible. I'd be interested to see more about the actual payouts and distributions from Quant, but again, if Project Discovery didn't run the thing off the road, and Project Discovery is pumping out 10 times the value, in my opinion, I don't think that dailies will cause the issues. So, and then if we look at the market again, we can see that I did say last time we were on the air that I thought sub 600 was a good place to be buying skill injectors, and it looks like now we're over that 600 mark. So it was a weak prediction, so I won't wring my hands about it. But it looks like we're staying positive. And again, I just expect this trend to stay lockstep with Plex. With that, let's go take a look at some of our market indexes. Again, so we'll start with the net trade look here with our log scaled out market view. Again, we can see the sort of trends that are sort of informing my predictions. Is that one, we're seeing on the bottom here on this bottom cyan line or whatever color that is, that total ship trade is trending down. This is marking a slowdown in PvP activity. We're seeing mineral trade staying relatively positive, even though for a lot of the history it stays lockstep with ships, signaling that people are working hard, are able to return back to the farming lifestyle, the passive lifestyle, the sort of ISK generation activities, in my opinion, should amp the amount of mineral supply coming into the market. It's going to trend a little bit down because I think the extra supply is going to drive down prices, but this extra gulf between ships and minerals I think is rather interesting. And then looking at the RMT markets, we see that skill trade is staying relatively stable, just a touch weaker than it was the last couple of weeks. And the Plex market trending down as well. I think this line will start trending up again once prices start to come back. I think that the volumes are stable enough that that this will basically be locked to prices rather than volumes. Next, if we look at total destruction over the last 90 days, we can again see this arc where we were extremely hot in April, again, World War B, and then trending down into June. I think that this 12,000 ships per day level is sort of our steady state to aim for, maybe the 10K line, the light 10K line here. The value destroyed is tracking a little bit lower than I would expect, especially with as much capital warfare has been going on. But that might be a failure of my tools more than the actual problem with the market. So let's move on to minerals. In the mineral markets, things are staying relatively stable. We're seeing titanium volumes consumed trending down pretty steeply, but the price is staying steady. Again, a couple of these outliers are screwing up my scales here. But we can see again the prices are staying relatively stable at 625. This gulf in buy orders again is probably due to offshoring. We see that we've lost about 10 billion units demanded. This is a more dangerous item to be offshoring, in my opinion, since it means that people could be, if you do a 1 jump or a 2 jump buy order, you could be slurping up a bunch of mission loot that you may not want to deal with. So I don't know if this is going to be as impacted by offshoring as things like RMT items are, but I think again we're going to see this supply line track over the 30 billion line, at which I think we're going to finally slip down to 6.0 as a price target in the next 2 weeks. Next, pyrite. We've seen a big collapse over the last couple of weeks. We were at 11 and we're back down at 10. If we zoom in, we see again a similar thing where supply has just ramped up. We've seen almost a doubling in supplied orders. And I think that this 14 billion supply mark is going to stay pretty steady over the summer. So this 10.0, 9.8, 9.5 sort of region is what I expect the prices to stay at for the next few weeks, at least into July. Mexilon was an interesting darling. I had told people to stock up if you believed in capitals, and was actually surprised by how far it moved. We moved from 60 up to 75. But again, I do expect the supply to track up. So if you're not sold out of this yet, I would be looking for a chance to off-ramp. As nullsec cools down and mining routes start to get back in order, we should expect to see a amping in supply, and I expect to be back down to the 60 mark sometime in the next 6 weeks. I don't think we're going to go any higher than the 75 we've been at. Excuse me, that was gross. Isogen is another interesting story. We were at over 100, and then we've been sliding back to 95. Again, I still think that this is a easily oversupplied mineral thanks to Fozzie's change in Amber a few months back. Again, we're seeing that positive trend towards 900 million units on market, which means that I think we're going to see a steady state price of maybe 90, 89, 88 as a steady state price. Summer's probably going to be a great chance for the savvy industrialist to stockpile, because I expect things to get hotter once the fall sets in and we see perhaps some campaigns start or some desire to get into some major fights as people come back to the game in the traditional fall months. But I expect the supplies to get pretty strong over the next 6 weeks. Noxium is another interesting one. Oops. How the heck did that happen? Just a second. Huh. What the? Oh, okay. I see what's going on. Okay, sorry. Was having to look over at my other screen. So Noxium. Noxium is what we're talking about. Noxium, we saw a pretty steep drop from the 470 level down to the 450 level. Again, we're seeing a contraction in demand. Again, we're seeing a uptick in supply. I think that the actual movement here has more to do with offshoring than anything rather nefarious. Again, I don't think the supplies are quite high enough to really drive a big price spike. I would be aiming for a price of 400 if you wanted to stockpile Noxium, but you may have to wait until July to get it. Zydrine is another interesting one. It had been weak as people were cashing out during World War B. And then the prices locked back up to 1,200. I still think that a fair price for Zydrine is 1K, but where the supply lines actually are and the price actually is, either somebody's manipulating the crap out of this, or it's getting consumed at a high enough rate to make it worth it. And then Megasite, similar trend to Zydrine. Those two have been in lockstep BFFs forever. And again, similar story. We see a little more shortage here, and I expect this 50 million unit delta to get absorbed, which should bring the price back down to the 1.3 mark, in my opinion, in the next 6 weeks. But again, this is a 50-50 turn on this one. I wouldn't want to really bet on this one here. And then last, darling of the show, Morphite. We saw it very strong thanks to Tech2 Capital modules, and we're starting to see some of that heat subside as people have got what they were after, and the demand is starting to slip. We're still seeing supplies stay relatively constrained at the 5 million mark. I wouldn't expect this to rise up to maybe the 7.5 million mark. So I think we're going to be at the 16 or 17K price point for the next 6 weeks. Again, Morphite is a really hard one to predict. It tends to be really spiky, and once it locks into its new spot, it tends to stay there. So I don't want to make any wide-reaching predictions for Morphite. If you had bought in, I would sell out. I think a good chance to buy in will be a target of 15K, in my opinion, is what I'll be looking for. Moving on to fuel. Oh, God, this is going to be a long show. Again, as I mentioned on the 07 show that we were last on, and as I mentioned on the last show, nitrogen isotopes just keep on falling. All the fuels are tracking down, again, due to people being able to grind for their money again, rather than needing to burn all of their stockpiles to be able to invest or fight or fire sale or whatever, what have you. And the pressure for nitrogen just has subsided strongly. So I'm personally targeting 800 for nitrogen. I still think it's useful until the science and research citadels start to come out. The demand for the Caldari fuel is still pretty high. It's still the largest jump freighter. It's all that goodness. But I also expect more supply to be coming out of nullsec once new masters set up in places like Veil of the Silent. So if we look at fuel blocks, again, nothing interesting happening here except that Galente fuel blocks are way out of line at the moment. So if you've got them, I would sell them. This price is extremely high given the market for all the other components of the fuel blocks. And if we zoom into nitrogen, again, we can see that, click too soon, that supplies continue to rise. We're heading back up to about 300 million units steady state, and this is driving the price down, down, down. I still think 800 is a decent target, but we may actually end up under it. 750 if you wanted to be particularly bold about it. The buy pressure is extremely weak at the moment, so I have a really hard time telling you where the floor is on this. And then last but not least, strontium clathrates, again, staying relatively stable. Supplies are dwindling, though, so that's a signal that prices may rise. It might be a decent time to roll the dice on a small strontium investment in the next 6 weeks. No promises on whether that will make any money. It's a risky bet, but I don't think I don't think you're going to lose a bunch of money on it, to be completely honest. I think that it could spike in the next 2 weeks, and I would be out of it before July 1st. Now, on to the last piece of the show, the meat of the show, the outlier analysis. We start where we always do with the Moongoo markets. Bit of a spoiler for CCP Quant's thing. The economic report should be out tomorrow. It seems somebody at the community team flubbed and accidentally published tweets they weren't supposed to, but Slack picked them up. So that was kind of funny. Looks like he and I are not going to agree on the outcomes here. He is saying that moons are tracking up, and this is due to lowered efficiency. And I am saying that that sort of forgets that over World War B we saw a whole bunch of these places liquidating stocks, and prices were artificially low, and now they're tracking back to normal. It's semantics, and I already gave him a friendly prod about it. So I think that the direction is correct. The reason, we just don't agree on the reason. It's not off by much though. So, but that's because I'm a pedantic diva. All right. So, talking about Moon Goose specifically, I think that we're still seeing a lot of weakness. I expected things like Ferrogel and hypersynaptic fibers to actually start tracking up thanks to the higher prices in the subcomponents. Nanotransistors are going bonkers thanks to the rise in neodymium. A couple of the metamaterials are up because of nonlinear metamaterials are up because of I think more hack consumption, but we'll see when we get there. And the carbonides are staying relatively low, but I actually expect those to track even lower once people set up in nullsec. If we look at dysprosium, I don't remember if I told people to buy it. I really should have. We saw it during World War B. We saw the prices just tank as supplies just flooded the market. We saw almost 2x the supply, 4x the supply on the market. And this tanked the price, and now we're seeing that constriction come, and the prices have responded back to the 85 mark. I would be out of this market if you can. I think we're heading back down again. I think we're going to be at just under 80 for the next couple of weeks, especially with this supply ramp going on. I don't know who is supplying all this extra dysprosium. If you guys wanted to be risky and catch a falling knife, this looks like a decent buy signal, so I'd be targeting buy order in the 75 range and looking to sell at the 85 range. But that's a pretty risky bet given what may be going on. We may see it. You may have to hold on to that bet until the end of the summer if you take it. So you very well could. It could absorb a decent amount of money. I feel reasonably good about it, but I still feel like it's a coin flip. So if you guys take this bet, please email me. I would love to know about it. prospermarketshow@gmail.com. Lockefox in game. Lockefox on the Tweetfleet Slack is the best place to get me. So I would love to hear more about this. Neodymium is another interesting one. Again, ahead of the market release, the prices are actually returning to normal. The prices I had expected them to go higher. I expected a bump over the 20K line as we saw the constriction in supply. Again, we're seeing a similar nosedive and I think this is going to be overcompensated. Again, I think a 15K buy target is not a bad one, but it may be a hard one to actually get. And a 17 or an 18K sell target I don't think is unreasonable, but it's going to be, again, a coin flip. Moving on to PI, and I'm going to be really glad to stop covering this real soon. Looks like we're seeing things settle into their steady states. We saw wetware mainframes drop rather precipitously over the last week, settling back down to what looks like a 3.5 million range. Nanofactories are staying relatively stable. Integrity response drones took a pretty deep dive down to 3 million again. I think that we've seen the ebbs and flows thanks to Citadel even out. We may see things move slowly may move slowly up in the upcoming weeks as we go into summer and into fall, as people are losing and anchoring new citadels. But I think the land rush, the gold rush to try and get into your first citadel is basically subsided and we're into steady state. So unless these move wildly, I don't think we're going to cover this week over week. Moving on to ships, the Svipul is in an interesting spot. We've seen a huge buyout happening where about 1,000 units have come off the market, which is interesting given how whiny people have been about about how sniper ships are not the I win button anymore. I haven't been following the EVE Reddit drama, so I don't really fully understand. But this supply squeeze looks like we may see the price jump up to 45 million. It's a little bit late here to announce it on the show, so if you're watching live, buy in and good luck. I just don't know when you're going to see your money and if we're actually going to hit the 45 million target. Munin is another interesting one. We saw it spike up. Actually, this wasn't as interesting as I thought when I saw it originally, so we're not covering the Munin. The Rattlesnake, though, we saw that as the goons got run out of their space and Garista ratting was reduced, we saw the supply lines for rattlesnakes start to subside, and the prices are coming back down as it looks like people are getting back into supplying these things. Oops, I do not have the zoom in on that. I don't know where the bottom is on this. The 400 million mark looks like a decent target, but that might be a little far to reach for. And I don't know if this is a decent investment target because I actually expect it to settle closer to the 350 million mark by the end of the summer. I don't know if we're going to go up again in July is really the mark I'm not sure about coming up. Vexor Navy Issues is another interesting one. A popular drone platform, thanks to its drone speed boost, had hit almost 75 million and has taken a rather precipitous dive. If you are watching again live, I think this is a good chance to buy in. I think a sub 65 buy price is particularly nice. It may go even lower. It's a little bit hard to tell on this graph, and we may have actually missed it. I don't have the zoom in on it handy. But the Vexor Navy issue is definitely an interesting plot here. The Hulk was another interesting one. Again, this sort of goes back to it's peacetime, and people are going to go back to work, and they're going to get back in the factories, and they're going to do their thing, and they're going to make their money. The Hulk sort of shows that pattern. We saw a huge buyout over the last few weeks, showing a major constriction in supply, and unfortunately, we didn't see the huge price spike you'd expect for the supplies getting cut in half. Turns out there are a lot of people who are willing to supply Hulks, but the prices are pretty nice at the moment. Might not be a bad place to throw a few blueprints at if you can. Moving out of ships into modules, we see the small tractor beam is tracking up rather precipitously again, probably due to people outfitting their ISK-making ships, and we see a lot more, again, people settling back into a ISK generation mindset as we've been drunk for the last 3 months on cash squeeze, and it's time to go fill those banks back up again. Similarly, Salvager 2s, big constriction in supply, big price hike going on there. Interesting one. I don't know why I didn't pick this up on the last show. Afterburners are extremely popular at the moment. We see the prices almost doubled for 1 meganewton afterburner 2s, and a similar trend in 10 meganewton afterburners. Prices are coming back down as people get back on the supply lines, but I find it interesting that afterburners have so suddenly become so hot in the meta. I'm not tuned in close enough to the PvP metas to tell you why. I just can tell you that they are. Another interesting one on the rigs markets is the large energy burst aerator 2s. We saw a bit of a constriction in supply again as the prices were jacked way up to what looks like 20 million. The prices are coming back down again and might be due for an overcorrection over the weekend. I don't think this is a good investment vehicle because they're only about 10 sold a day. So, but if you're in that market, you should probably go run and see if you can catch a little bit more of this heat. And then last in our run around is a rather interesting one. It's just an NPC item. I find it funny when these things flag, so I bring them to you. The Polaris eviction notice item. I believe this was oh god, I don't remember which year, but it was probably a birthday item. Looks like the prices collapsed here over the last couple of days. I just find it funny that something that trades only, 10 a day, 5 a day, special edition asset, took such a deep dive and really, really screwed with my flagging system. And then onto the last section, the prediction review, where we look at jump freighters because I like looking at jump freighters. Nothing really interesting to report. The Nomad is trending particularly low, so that might be a decent place to pick up a couple. The Rhea is tracking back up again after it had seen some dives in the last couple of weeks, which is a good piece of news to see, especially if you are a freighter kind of person. Anshar is tracking a little bit under where I'd expect it to be, but not completely out of line. Quaff Zero, if you missed the last window to sell a few weeks back, we're coming up on another window to sell at almost 7 million. This weekend would be a good chance to liquidate any stock you may have bought if you had missed the boat originally. I don't know if we will. I don't know where we're going after 7 million, but I have a hard time believing that we will see supplies really shrink enough to drive the price much higher. I think it's a good place to offload for the summer, especially given that there should probably be some events that may cause things. And your next good off-ramp might not be, no, it won't be the Alliance Tournament because they can't use it during the Alliance Tournament. So I don't know when the next good off-ramp for this will be. Oh, sorry, last section, the Violence Report. Again, still haven't fixed the color scales, so it's still Easter colored. Interesting additions this week is the Astero, and the interesting subtractions are there are no freighters on this list, and there are no capitals on this list. It's interesting to see that, and especially with the Svipul supply shrink, that we're not seeing that reflected in actual kill counts. So, I guess Thanatos is still on the list. Again, we're settling into a bit of a quieter period, so we may have to rejigger this graph. It's less useful now that Eve is not completely on fire. Popular PvP destinations continue to be Saranen. Interesting addition this week is Hula. And O1Y continues to be hot, but looks to be trending down and may not make it the next week. Tama and Jita are back in their baseline sets. And then again, the telling piece here for me is that we're back in regular Empire space with Black Rise, Lone Trek, and the Citadel taking up 3 of the spaces on our region graph, and Quirius and Fade still taking up positions, but at the bottom of the list. We're still seeing them stay relatively low. So that will conclude our last show, as I drop shit and totally ruin that. That will conclude our last show for this season, for this hiatus. I want to thank everyone who tuned in live. I want to thank all of our viewers who tune in every week, who watch the Twitter, who chat in the Eve Prosper channel. It is a real honor serving you guys. It is incredibly humbling to have as many dedicated fans as who tune into this show. I always feel a little bit weird doing this show, that like I go home and I make graphs and then I tell the internet about graphs. And you guys really make that feel a lot less weird. Having an audience for this really does mean a lot to me. We will be back. We will be producing shows again for every 07 show. We will be producing some side content, and we will be producing APIs so you guys can do the graphs we'll be producing it so you guys can do the graphs that I do at home. And those should be handy coming up pretty soon here. Again, if you want to support the show directly, the very best place to do so is at our Patreon. I completely understand this being our hiatus. It rings a little bit hollow to be like, and I'm going to go off the air. Please give me money. But your contribution does help pay for what's going to be a dedicated server, does help keep the availability open for more investment in development, and it continues to keep the lights on here, which again, super humbled by it. We should be back. So I'm basically going to steal a book out of John Oliver's page, a page out of John Oliver's book for last week tonight, and start breaking the show into seasons, semi-season kind of things, where we'll do like a fall season, we'll do a spring season, and that's why I will call this the end of this spring season. We will continue to report as news comes up. We may do 1 or 2 summer shows around 07 just to give you guys content so that we can do more of a look at the last month rather than a look at the last week. And we're going to be taking this hiatus time to really get you new graphs, get you new tools, get you websites, and really bring those utilities up to par for people. So you guys can start looking at the market the way I do. And again, just keep tuned in, follow us on the Tweetfleet Slack is the very best place to get in touch. Information on how to join should be down in the doobly-doo below. We will be back sooner than you guys know it, and I will be annoyed because I will not have got half of what I thought I could get done in in that time. Thank you again, everybody who tuned in live. Thank you, everybody who is watching this after the fact. I have been your host, Lockefox. We will be back sooner than you know. This has been the Eve Prosper Show. Thanks again. All right, and then everybody who's tuned in live, if you give me 3 minutes to set the camera back up again. Not a bad turnout. Looks like we almost hit 50. Oops. All right. The right buttons. I got the right stuff. That button. There we go. We had a show. Oh, I should post the link to the Eve Mogul thing again. Twitch just does not like that exclamation point. God, it is so freaking hot in here. The one downside to Washington is it might be cool, but the days that it's not, we don't have AC units here. So sorry if that's blowing too hard on the mic. Hopefully it's not driving anybody to insanity. I gotta check it. All right, that doesn't sound too bad. Okay. So let's see. Talked at pretty darn long length about the couple of questions and comments I saw come up. Agatir, if you're still watching, we've talked about this. I can't fix it until I write a new plotting package. It's on the to-do, but it's like the last thing on the to-do. So, yeah. The magical dancing Hyperion of a drunk sailor guy. Dancing for your shekels. Schmeckles. Big Vix is asking, in Twitch, do I foresee farming or skill points ever to even out? So I've talked, we've talked at length about this in the SCC, among the SCC Lounge guys. And Marcia Malo is the person you really want to go pick the brain of for this, because I know this is her bread and butter. So again, it's free money right now, right? It is absolutely free money, and you can just do it on as many characters as you wish and basically get away scot-free, which is stupid. And I expect that party to end any day now, and yet it doesn't. We may see the crash finally come around for Christmas, that people finally get wise and enough people see it as a free income stream or a free skill point stream, that they go and jump on it. I'm not exactly sure. But again, it's that it looks too good to be true, and if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So, I don't know when the party's going to end, and that's what sort of pisses me off, is that with as good as it is right now, like, it shouldn't be as good as it is right now. Holy crap. And a drunk sailor guy just threw a billionisk at the show. So thank you so very much. It means a lot. Oops. Not that button. That button. That button. There we go. That means a lot, actually. Thank you. The deep dark secret is that I don't tend to keep a lot of cash on hand because I just haven't had any time to do gameplay. Like the only thing I have time for anymore outside of work is Rocket League for gaming. I mean, we just moved up to Seattle, and it's been that wonderful season of you can be a tourist in your own town, So instead of playing EVE all weekend, we've been out, seeing the town and going to conventions and doing rock band things and seeing the places. So, thanks again. I this is why I do the automation stuff, is so that I can hopefully use more of that money. But it is super appreciated. I'm hoping, like, one of the long-term goals, and maybe, hopefully we can hit this by the end of the year, is that I would really love to open up a Prosper brokerage where you guys could invest in it like a bank, and we could automate a lot of the work so that we could basically like take the Red Frog idea of contractors and something, make a buttload of money with the automation and tools. But until the automation is at a place where it works correctly, I just I like building systems. So hopefully we can get there. But like, I basically I want to make a mechanical Turk bot essentially, where there is a bot that's like, buy this, I want this many of this item, and I want to buy it at this price, and I want to do all this stuff, and here are the orders that need to be completed, and humans go and be like, okay, I need to buy this many of this and this many of that. I think that we can do arbitrage better than most people have done. I think I have some systems for that. But what I really want to do is I really want to break the production market, and really be an order of magnitude faster than everybody else, because that's my particular passion. But I need the automation where it needs to be, because I am not doing that by hand. I do not have that kind of fucking time. Not a bad show. Went long. I had a lot to cover this week. I'm hoping it probably won't happen this weekend. I'll try, and I'll probably miss again. Is that I really want to get SSO running so I can do, because basically what I'm trying to do is steal everything off of Quandle, so that I can get you guys data. And I know that Quandle's API is not necessarily the easiest to work with, but a lot of you got two things going on. Is one, if I build a thing that talks in Quandle talk, then I can build something that talks to real life market data a whole fuckload easier. And two, if it's not a bad system. I mean, they've got an API key that helps manage, that helps track how much people are accessing. That API key is relatively easy to maintain. I can, at least in as stupid as I am, manage to secure that enough for people, so that we can at least track that. It would give us the ability to do. So my boss is a particular savant genius. So one thing is that the server that's going to serve this stuff up to you guys is not going to be cheap. I've been looking at solutions, and I don't think I can get away for less than $50 a month, and that doesn't even pay for bandwidth. And I think we need 10 terabits a month of bandwidth at least, which fucking terrifies me, because it's another $50 a month if I want 10 terabits. And so, I mean, we're talking about some serious change for a year's worth of content. And what I'd love to be able to do is sell unlimited keys and say, look, if you guys want the Eve Central history for 90 days, that's free, but you only get 100 queries a day. That's I think a perfectly reasonable thing that'll get you enough data to talk about like a single market. I am glad that did not pop up on stream. The I would love to be able to say, look, here's 100. You get 100 calls a day. That should be good enough for most people who want to track like the ship market, or who want to track Tech 2 guns or moon materials. That should be enough to get through that kind of data. And if you want more than that, and you're not willing to do the other work, then I should be able to sell you unlimited keys that say, look, you can still query, but you got to pay for whitelist access. The problem is that's so like on the line of okay. That is, from everything I've read and from the little discussions I've had with a couple of the Devfleet guys, God, that is like just probably on the wrong side of skeevy. And that pisses me off because it's really not a bad model. Like, I would pay Z Killboard for an unlimited key back in the day. Shouldn't be anymore. Sure. Hold on, we're having weird access problems. Reads. He says reads. Why are they going nuts on reads? Why are you bugging me on the show? That one. It's around 10 p.m. Eastern. That was right when the show started. Optimized table is running. Ah, shit. Fuck me. Dun 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 dun. Table to, oops, / remind me tomorrow. Okay. I don't know if Eve Central really has a history system. And Eve Market Data is just the CREST data. So, N05, UN05 is talking about, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I actually want to work a little more actively. I've done that cross-market arbitrage thing a couple of times, and oops, I keep dropping stupid shit around. So yeah, that's actually not a bad plan. I have a plan and a tool in the works for the cross-market stuff. that here, I can actually probably pull it up because it's super out of date and therefore it is not useful data. Is it in Scratch Graphs? Nope. Is it in Prosper Plots? BS Cross Hub Facet Scrap. Yeah, that'll do. Let me pull that up on the main DT. So, actually, let's see if I got the Morphite one. Morphite makes more sense. So, this was a plot I did about a year ago, more than a year ago, shit. That was trying to figure out, was trying to classify opportunities, because that's what I really want to do, is be able to identify and classify opportunities and then execute on them. So in here, what we're looking at is if you were buying and selling Morphite, what would end up making you a bunch of money? And the white cross in the center helps break up the graph, at least in my mind, into a few quadrants. So if you're on the left of the cross, you're losing money. This is negative margin. Life is bad. You should feel bad. You don't want to do this. On the right side of the line is all positive margins. So the more right you can be, the better. And then this center line, if you're above it, this is a positive outlook, essentially. And if you're below it, it's a negative outlook. So if you wanted to say, what is the best I could make on any average day? Well, you start looking at like the 75th percentile kind of thing. And you say, oh, well, if I was buying from G to sell and I was selling to a Mars sell, on a good day, I could probably make 10%. That's not bad. But then if you look at the bottom of this and you look at the 25th percentile and you say, okay, well, what about a bad day? What would I end up looking at then? Well, you are looking at a negative, 1% margin if you did that. And I think this one, this one doesn't take shipping into account. So, you're seeing that you might lose a little bit of money. So this is a little bit of a risky profile. But as you look at other opportunities like Jita cell to Dodixie cell, well, you almost can't lose money, right? Like 25% of the time you might be floundering in losing your taxes line. But on good days, like most of the other days, you're making 5%, 7%, 10%, and heck, on a really good day, you might be able to land 15% on a market that moves a lot of material. And this is a sort of view I want to put together for you guys. And this is something I can actually work with inside the computer. Because again, the hard part is, as a human, you can sort of work through the connections. And you go like, oh, well, Morphite is attached to this and it goes in here. And we know that most of it's going to go get sold in Jita and it's going to go get consumed by Tech 2 items. But making a computer understand that is tough, and making it understand all the connections and the weights between those connections, because we might understand that they're connected and we might understand that, like, for instance, most of the Morphite goes into ships, but how do you really make, how do you guys really end up making the money? And so I have to boil that down into systems that the computer understands and use statistical methods more than just straight Excel methods. And again, I'm not active at the moment, so I don't know what's exactly going on inside the Citadel things. I still think that the margins, the margin you need to be operating at a 4% margin at least, right? Like 4% is the break even, and the only way to get better is if you're at a Citadel, and if you're at a Citadel, you might be making 2%. You might be working at 2%. But the difference between 2 and 4% are the sort of things that you should only care about if you're investing tens or hundreds of billions of ISK. For the mere mortals, you really need to be working at margins closer to 15 and 10% anyway, and that extra 2% from taxes is gravy at that point. But that's why I'm looking for ways to identify 7% trends and 10% trends and 12% trends, because if we can do that, those are our margins that I can start piling some real money behind. Because the whole if I'm going to open up an investment bank, if I open up the things to you guys and say, give me your money, and even if it's just as an experiment, even if I give you no returns on it and you just want to participate, which would be a shitty thing to do. I need to be able to figure out how to manage a trillion ISK, and being able to manipulate a trillion ISK is really fucking hard. Because if we go back to one of the graphs in the show, and bear with me while I try to get my shit together. That one. We go back to this one. Like, if we're talking about a trillion ISK, I mean, my face is in the way, so you guys can't see it. The ship market is the entire ship market. If I bought and sold every ship in JITA, that's a trillion ISK. If I were 100% of the orders for ships, that's a trillion ISK. If I were 100% of the mineral orders, that's 2 to 4 trillion ISK. That is, if I comprise more than 20% of a market, I'm having a really hard time. Like, it's going to be really hard to liquidate if things start to get bad. It's really hard to reposition yourself. You end up, I never want to be that leader. I want to be in 1,000. I want to be 1,000 small players before I want to be the one big player, because leading the market is not something I feel qualified to do without coming on the show and basically being Jim Cramer and being like, all right, before the show, I've invested 10 billion ISK into Mexilon, and I'm going to come on and say, oh God, you guys, Mexilon is going to go nuts. And even though it was probably going to go up, because I wouldn't come to the show with something that was completely false, if I pump and dump it, then I'm just an asshole. Like, that's not winning in my mind. That's using you guys. I don't want to use you. I want to understand the market intrinsically. But being able to actually leverage a trillion ISK in the market is a really challenging pot. Like, I could probably do 100 billion without too much effort. Like, it would be a lot of management, but it would be possible without with a really good spreadsheet. I don't want to write 10,000 custom lines of Python to just play with a Titan. Like, I don't. That's a fucking waste of that effort. So I'm hoping to automate it. I'm hoping to make it so we can get some systems that forecast better. So that's the end up goal. So we got about 5 minutes before I got to end the show and start heading towards bed. Sorry for anybody who tuned in after the show. Everything should be on YouTube. Go check out Eve Prosper on YouTube if you guys want to see the actual show. Any more particular questions, comments, things you guys want to see? it's going to be really hard to actually work during the summer rather than play Rocket League and go do things. We've got got so much planned for the fucking summer. I always think we're going to have a slow summer, and then we fill up the schedule with a whole bunch of things to do. And now that we're in a real city, there's so much to do, man. There just ain't time to sit around on my ass and do nothing. And I've got I've got this job that's a friggin' dream. Like, I always feel like, pinch me. It doesn't make any sense. So and we'll be back. Like, I won't just end the show like Hydrostatic. Spoilers. But that is an argument I don't want to have on recording. No, I'm being a petulant dick again. Yeah, so we definitely will be back. We definitely will be making more graphs. I do want to make content. I do want to make... Oh, yeah, yes. I'm not in Aderon anymore, and I really don't want to tell people to be in Aderon anymore. I should pull that off the thing. Yeah, let me pull that off the thing, because yeah, we don't fly with Aderon robotics anymore. And Ashtaroth's on my fucking shit list. Anyway. That is drama because I'm a diva. I mean, if you guys want a little quick rant, like one of the reasons I haven't wanted to go back into major Eve stuff is that, like, so for instance, it'd be really great to go be out in nullsec right now, right? Like, it's a wild new frontier and new masters are going to go settle. Like, there's a lot of opportunity to go make a lot of money. Except I fucking hate working for people. Like, when I was in Gents, one of the guys, like, gave me this fucking speech about, like, how to run an industry thing and referenced my blog, and he's telling me about it. I'm like, yeah, no, I fucking wrote that. So when people come to me and tell me that, like, they're going to do all these great services for me, I get really pissy because I'm like, I'm space famous, you fuckhole. Or when somebody comes from one of the news sites and is like, we'll pay you 100 million ISK to write a article about the market. I'm like, do you have any fucking idea how much work this is? Do you know what my time is worth? Do you know how many hits I'm gonna get from writing for your no-name frickin' site? Like, none. You pay me a Plex, and they get all pissy because nobody pays any of their writers a Plex. And I'm like, well, you can go to one of your other writers who can do all of the math and all of the graphs and actually knows what the fuck they're talking about. Or they can write a shitty, a really terrible, half-digested retread of what's going on, or try to justify their own IRL politics rather than actually report the news. Or you can get it from the guy who knows what the fuck he's talking about. Like, I don't need to write for exposure. Like, to have a news site come to me and be like, it would be great exposure. I'm like, I'm on the 07 show, for fuck's sake. How are you going to generate more foot traffic, or even the same order of magnitude of foot traffic as the 07 show? And do you know what the 07 show gets me? My fan site status. That's worth several Plex. They essentially pay me a Plex a month for that, if you cut it that way. Like, I'm such a petulant dick about it. Like, I don't mind working with people. Like, I love working with Jeronica. That guy's brilliant. His site is so clean. The fact that he can do all that JavaScript stuff just runs circles around me. Makes me feel like a fucking retard. And I'm so glad that he took the proposal that, like, I'll provide the data and the analytics and you provide the front end. And like, we'll tag team and slam dunk this shit. And he's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, cool. Yes. And Soriano, that's exactly right. Like, and I don't mind, like, I like working with people, right? Like, I really do enjoy working with people. I like working with the Cap Stable guys. They're fun and interesting, and like that is a give and take relationship. I didn't mind working for TMC back in the day. I wouldn't do it now, but like that wasn't a terrible deal. I don't mind working with the O7 show to go generate those things. Like that's exposure worth doing. That's part of, like, if I may be such a freaking shitheel, like building a brand, that's a brand I want to be part of. But like, to write for Crossing Zebras, to write for Eve News 24 and just be another contributor in their army of contributors? No, absolutely not. I don't need a soapbox. I have a soapbox. I have the premier market show, like, between me and DeLone Wolf. And those are the only two places you can go for this shit. And if you want real graphs, you either have to wait for CCP Quant to never respond to you because he won't do graphs for public data because it's not worth his damn time, or you go to me, or maybe Blake Armitage if he's not working, breaking the real life economy, that bastard. He's got a great new project, and I fucking hate him for it. He lives a semi-blessed life. I love DeLone Wolf. His stuff is awesome, and I don't know how he does as much content as he does. And actually, I'm really glad he does what he does, because I'd hate to be the only market show, because then I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't freaking do it if I were the only guy. Like, I gotta have competition. I gotta be beating somebody. This is way too much work not to be competitive. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on freaking exposure. Like, the one that tempts me though is it seems that all of the bitter old dudes are going and joining Signal Cartel, and that's a tempting siren call. But again, I have been so pressed for time, and my problem right now with Eve is more that, like, there's no way to play Eve for 15 minutes. Like, you have to dedicate an hour at least to do anything in Eve. And I don't have contiguous hours to spend. I have like 15 minutes here and 20 minutes there and maybe 2 hours on a weekend. And I don't mind being in a cool community of people, but I can't make fleets because they leave at a certain time and they last like an hour or 2 hours. And I can't be there because I suck. Because I'm bad at time management. And it's why I can't put Rocket League down, is because it absolutely fills all those pieces. So, the other funny one, last funny story before I go off the air. So I have a particular love in my heart for cold calls. I find them fascinating, and if you go back in the Eve Prosper blog, if you go down the code tag is the fastest way to find it. I wrote a tool called Cold Call that would slurp up the faction warfare kills and look for candidates who were unaffiliated and may have just, in the hopes of finding people who had just joined faction warfare because they like saw it might be cool, but didn't join a faction warfare corp. And we had extraordinary success from that because the tool would help us like generate profiles. And then from that profile, you could be like, oh, hey, person. Like, hey there, person. We saw, one of our guys saw that you were active in system, and though you fought valiantly and you lost your blank in this kill, we were intrigued by your spirit, and you should come drop by and see our public fleet. And it was extremely successful. Like, we had I think a 15% conversion rate thanks to it, which is just absurd for cold calls. Like, a cold call return rate of 1% is phenomenal, and we were getting 15. And it was because, we were really identifying people, we were making it personal, we were really trying to find people, using the tool to find people who were already likely to say yes, rather than just trying to blast out to 1,000 people. And then a couple weeks ago, while I was doing the cameraman for the show here, I got a bulk email from RVB like, have you heard of Red versus Blue? I'm like, I've been playing for 10.5 years, man. I know who Red versus Blue are. I'm sorry. You don't seem to understand. I'm kind of a big deal. I don't know if Cold Call still works. I know Zkillboard did some upgrades and changes. I don't know if the underlying API that runs it still works specifically, but go to github.com/Lockefox/coldcall. It's out there. It's free to use. There's a blog about it. If you know Python and SQL, you just need to change the numbers from galmil to calmil. And attribution. If it works, I want to know about it. That's the only thing about using my tools, is I want to know that you're using them, and I want to know if they work. That's the deal. That's the only thing I care about. So I've here I could probably even link it. GitHub. It's not on the list right there. Where the fuck is it? Cold call, and then cold call. Yeah, it is there. Sweet. And that. Good luck. Fly safe. If it doesn't work, no guarantees. The API might be broken. I don't remember what state I left it in. It was a proof of concept to see if I knew what I was doing. And it still needs a second pass to... So what it does right now, the last I left it, is that it'll generate a list of people, and about half of them are obviously farmers. You'll see by the numbers that like they have a lot of solo kills, or they're actually pretty old, and they've been in the starter corp for a long time, so you know that they're farmers. But if you do a second pass filter on the list, you can grade them a little bit better. Also, I don't know if the public API feeds still work the way they're supposed to. And it should just be Pi27. And yeah, it's that stage 2 thing that needs a little bit more work. Actually, it's the stage 3 thing that needs a little bit more work. But like, it gives you everything you need to know to go find candidates, and it gives you a list of their, it gives you their Zkillboard links, and it'll narrow it down to about 60 people, and that's a much easier thing to go at. And the only other piece of it that I would encourage highly is that it needs to be part of a system. Do not just turn on cold call, start sending out emails like, hey, join my corp because we're cool. It works well as a system. We used it with, we were doing like 2 public fleets a week. And so it was like, hey, we saw you were active, and you might need some help, and why don't you come and meet with our guys? We'll be out on Wednesday nights and Friday nights or whatever. During these times, there's some time zone filtering you can do in the queries. so that you find people that are in the right, that fit the right profile. And yeah, that's the sort of project I fucking love. But yeah, you can't just be sending out emails. You got to be like, you got to have recruiters, and you got to have active fleets, and if you make it like a whole system and you keep that system running, then, well, go when you take Fleet, please email me. Or when you blow up I think there's a citadel in Devon that needs to die. If I'm being particularly petulant, or if you want a cesium moon, not that I told you. Anyway, that's going to be our show. Thank you everybody who tuned in live. I'm going to go crash. It's been a real honor. We'll be back before you guys know it, and be sure to keep tuned into the 07 show. Ciao.